On Sunday, June 18th, 2023, a tourist submersible embarked on an expedition to explore the legendary Titanic shipwreck, but never returned. Join us as we dive into the series of events leading up to that day and the irreversible consequences that unfolded. The submersible, named Titan, disappeared while descending nearly 13,000 feet to the Titanic's resting place off the coast of Newfoundland. The Titanic wreckage is the remains of the RMS Titanic, a British luxury passenger liner that sank in the North Atlantic Ocean on April 15, 1912, after colliding with an iceberg during its maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City. The sinking of the Titanic is one of the most famous maritime disasters in history. The wreckage of the Titanic was discovered in 1985 by a joint American-French expedition led by Dr. Robert Ballard. The shipwreck rests approximately 12,500 feet, 3,800 meters below the surface, about 370 miles, 600 kilometers southeast of Newfoundland. Visiting the Titanic wreckage as a tourist is possible, although it is an exclusive and highly specialized experience reserved for a select few. There have been organized expeditions that offer individuals the opportunity to dive to the Titanic wreck site and witness the remnants of the legendary ship firsthand. These Titanic tours typically involve descending to the depths of the North Atlantic Ocean in a deep-sea submersible. The journey to the Titanic wreckage is not for the faint of heart. It takes approximately 2.5 hours to descend to the depths where the ship rests, and the underwater environment is harsh, with freezing temperatures and immense water pressure. Anyone who has dived to the bottom of a pool has noticed the difference in water pressure and heaviness in the nose and ears. Imagine that, but 1,000 times more. The submersibles used for these dives are specifically designed to withstand the extreme conditions and provide a safe environment for the passengers. During the dive, tourists can expect to witness the spooky and haunting sight of the Titanic wreckage. The bow section, with its iconic grand staircase and other recognizable features, is often the main focal point of the visit. The wreckage is covered in marine life and surrounded by darkness, creating a surreal and moving atmosphere. Passengers aboard the submersible are provided with various amenities to ensure their safety and comfort during the dive. The walls of the submersible are heated to counteract the freezing temperatures, and there are provisions for privacy, including a small curtain toilet and a music system to mask the sounds of its usage. Due to the limited space inside the submersible, passengers are advised to adhere to a restricted diet before boarding to minimize the need for using the onboard toilet. Visiting the Titanic wreckage is a profound and emotionally charged experience. It allows individuals to connect with history in a unique way and pay tribute to the lives lost in the tragedy. Overall, exploring the Titanic wreckage as a tourist offers a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, making it a truly unforgettable experience for those who undertake the journey. Early 2019, Stockton Rush, an accomplished aerospace engineer, found himself in a race against time. The wreckage of the Titanic, once a majestic vessel, was slowly decaying due to the destructive forces of metal-eating bacteria as revealed by researchers. This realization ignited a sense of urgency within Rush, driven by both the imperative to document the world's most renowned shipwreck and the overwhelming demand from people eager to behold its enigmatic remains. It was a logical step, expressed Rush, who serves as the CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, in an interview with Deutsche Welle, a German broadcaster. We simply had to develop a submersible capable of reaching that extraordinary site. OceanGate Expeditions has been operating deep ocean expeditions since 2009. Over the years, it has carried out more than 200 dives with its 3 submersible vessels in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Gulf of Mexico. The carbon fiber submersible his team built, known as the Titan, stood out from their other vessels and is designed to go the deepest of them all, able to reach depths of over 13,000 feet or 4,000 meters, according to the company. Furthermore, the Titan provided enough room for a minimum of 4 wealthy travelers alongside an experienced expert. If you're going to take somebody to go see the Titanic, Rush said, it's going to be the most life-changing experience for them. They won't want to do it alone. It wasn't until 2021, then again in 2022, that the Titan made the first of several dives to the most famous shipwreck in the world. While generally successful, those expeditions hadn't been without their own problems. Earlier, expeditions had been planned as far back as 2018, but technical and regulatory difficulties had prevented them from being carried out. On Friday, June 16, 2023, the OceanGate's Titanic expedition sets off from St. John's, Newfoundland in Canada. The private deep-sea exploration company OceanGate charges $250,000 for an 8-day trip that includes a dive into the wreck of the Titanic. On Sunday, June 18th, the submersible Titan embarked on a dive to explore the wreckage of the Titanic, resting on the Atlantic Ocean floor around 12,500 feet below sea level, with 5 tourists aboard. Approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes into the vessel's dive, the crew of the Polar Prince, the ship that ferried the submersible, and expedition members to the dive site lost contact with them, the Coast Guard said in a tweet, casting a shadow of uncertainty over the mission. The disappearance of the vessel led to a massive international search involving U.S., Canadian, British, and French teams. The U.S. Coast Guard coordinated with the Canadian authorities and commercial vessels to search for the Titan. According to experts, there was approximately 96 hours worth of oxygen left on board from the time the vessel went missing. A miracle is what these people would need, according to some experts, to get out of this fateful situation alive. For days, the world could only imagine the terrifying idea of 5 men cramped in a cold, dark tube, knowing that they were about to run out of air. A glimmer of hope was offered when the U.S. Coast Guard confirmed it picked up suspicious underwater sounds while using sonobuoys. Some reports say the banging sounds were heard at 30-minute intervals. This could point to a human source. There have been reports when there have been issues with submarines where the sailors will bang on the hull and that acoustic noise will travel, according to Stefan B. Williams, a professor of marine robotics at the University of Sydney. Unfortunately, the sounds did not appear to have any relation to the submersible's wreckage. On Thursday, June 22nd, a debris field was discovered within the search area, which led to the discovery of the Titan's tail cone and other pieces on the ocean floor, about 1,600 feet, 487 meters, from the bow of the Titanic wreck. The debris were located by a remotely operated vehicle, ROV. This heartbreaking discovery suggests a catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber in the submersible, indicating a devastating implosion. All 5 passengers most likely died instantaneously, since the deep-sea water pressure that appears to have crushed the submersible would have been roughly equivalent in weight to the 10 million kilograms Eiffel Tower. The forces would have acted so quickly that it would be like the submersible carbon fiber hull suddenly vanishing before anyone inside knew what was happening. Rear Admiral John Mauger expressed his deepest condolences to the families affected by this tragedy, acknowledging the unforgiving nature of the deep-sea environment. The men on board of the Titan included British-Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleman, British businessman Hamish Harding, French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate. Shahzada Dawood, a 48-year-old British-Pakistani businessman and philanthropist, sat on the board of trustees of his family foundation, which focuses on education in the sciences and technology. He had joined the Titan crew with his 19-year-old son Suleman. Suleman was a science fiction fan and also enjoyed solving Rubik's Cubes and playing volleyball. Speaking to NBC News, Azmeh Dawood, Shahzada Dawood's older sister, said her nephew Suleman told a relative he was terrified and wasn't very up for the expedition, but agreed to go as a Father's Day gesture to please his father, who was fascinated by the sunken ship's history. Also on board was Hamish Harding, a 58-year-old British billionaire who thrived on venturing to the Earth's most extreme locations. In 2016, he visited the South Pole with astronaut Buzz Aldrin. He holds 3 Guinness World Records, including one for a more than 4-hour dive in the deepest part of the Mariana Trench. In June 2022, he was one of 6 people on Jeff Bezos-owned Blue Origin's mission when they flew to the edge of space. Before the Titanic expedition, Harding shared on Facebook that the mission was likely to be the first and only manned mission to the Titanic in 2023 because of weather conditions. The 4th adventurer was 77-year-old Paul-Henri Nargeolet, a former commander of the French Navy. Nargeolet was known as a Titanic expert, according to the OceanGate website. He led 6 expeditions to the ship's wreckage site and was known as Titanic's greatest explorer, the company said. He was also the director of underwater research for RMS Titanic, an American company that owns the salvage rights to the wreck and operates exhibits featuring artifacts from the ship. He himself completed at least 35 dives to the wreck of the Titanic. According to his stepson, Nargeolet was fearless and understood the potential danger of traveling to the Titanic's wreckage. Anyone who gets into those submersibles knows the risks that could happen, he said, adding, going into this, he knew the risks that were possible with this expedition. The 5th and last person on board was Stockton Rush, a 61-year-old aerospace engineer with a well-documented love of deep-sea exploration and designing experimental aircraft and modded submersibles. Rush has approached his dream of deep-sea exploration with childlike verve and an antipathy toward regulations. At some point, safety just is pure waste, Rush told journalist David Pogue in an interview last year. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything. In another interview, Stockton boasted that he'd broken some rules in his career. In a captivating turn of events, the story takes an intriguing twist as historical records reveal an extraordinary connection. Stockton Rush's wife, Wendy Rush, is a great-great-granddaughter of the retailing magnate Isidor Straus and his wife Ida, 2 of the wealthiest people aboard the Titanic for its first voyage. Miss Rush's ancestors on the Titanic are perhaps best known for their tragic love story. Survivors of the disaster recalled seeing Isidor Straus refuse a seat on a lifeboat when women and children were still waiting to flee the sinking liner. Ida Straus, his wife of 4 decades, declared that she would not leave her husband, and the 2 were seen standing arm in arm on the Titanic's deck as the ship went down. The 5 passengers aboard the submersible were connected by an interest in exploring air, space, and sea, as well as the financial means to pursue these passions. These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans. Again, OceanGate's Titanic expeditions to the wreckage site cost as much as $250,000 per passenger. The company has claimed that its aim is to increase access to the deep sea for tourists and to contribute research on the wreck and its surrounding debris. Following the disappearance of the Titan, numerous questions and rumors emerged, stirring speculation about the cause of the incident. Before the expedition, a daring adventurer, Chris Brown, withdrew from joining the crew due to significant safety concerns. He expressed apprehensions about the sub's safety measures, including the use of a game controller as the primary control mechanism. Technical issues and delays further heightened his worries. During a pre-voyage tour, Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate Expeditions and pilot of the Titan, would explain to passengers that the pressure vessel, constructed from carbon fiber and titanium, had been developed in collaboration with NASA and the University of Washington. However, it was discovered that many other components, such as handles, lights, and propellers, were off-the-shelf parts, with control even being managed by a PlayStation controller, as described by David Pogue, a CBS correspondent and former Titan passenger. The passengers found themselves enclosed within the sub, reliant on external crew members to release them. As Pogue highlighted, there's no way to escape. Even if you rise to the surface by yourself, you cannot get out of the sub without a crew on the outside letting you out. Furthermore, in 2018, alarms about the Titan were sounded both inside and outside the company, the New York Times reports. David Lockridge, the director of marine operations at OceanGate Expeditions, wrote a scolding report calling for more testing of the vessel. Shortly thereafter, more than 3 dozen experts warned Rush in a letter about the company's experimental approach to testing and stressing the Titan. Though OceanGate was founded in 2009, tours to the Titanic weren't available to paying customers until 2021. As of April 2020, the company had raised almost $37 million in total funding, according to data from PitchBook, including a new $18 million investment that year to help fund the nascent Titanic expeditions. And this concludes our coverage of the horrifying descent to the Titanic. If you found this video informative, please subscribe to our channel and leave your thoughts in the comments.